Hello once again, our most valued student. My name is Confident and welcome to our continued session here where I'm revising with you, and in this case I'm looking at trigonometric graph sketching. This is for grade 10 as you prepare for your June exams and also very important for your November exams. So let's look at these questions now. By the way, if this is your first time, it means you have missed out quite a lot of videos. Go back and start from the beginning, because there are almost 4 to 5 videos that covers everything on trigonometry. This is the end, the last section. So it means if you want to benefit everything, go from the beginning, and then once you come into this section, you will know that your trick is sorted. Alright, so let's get into this lesson. It says use the grid on the attached diagram sheet and draw the following graphs. Okay, they are giving you this, but I'm going to draw it because I didn't bring the grid here. For which values of x, okay, they ask, but they want us to draw this. 2 f of x is that, and cos that. Guys, when you draw these graphs, you just rely on your what? Just rely on your calculator. So we want the graph of what? Sin f of x. Let me write it down. F of x. Can I make it a bit bigger? That's much better. All right. So f of x is equal to what? Is equal to 2 sin x. Are you with me? And then the other one is what? G of x is equal to cos x plus 1. And then they told us between 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 360 degrees. So when I'm drawing this, you don't have to stress. Your calculator is the guy to go here. So what you simply do, have already your Cartesian plane. You already know that it's from 0. X values are positive. So you know your graph. There is no other way, but it can only start from, okay, make it start from here. And let's have it like that. There is no other way your graph can be any point. Then you do this, and then you can extend a bit there in case. Alright, so what is this? These are the y and these are the x. That's what they want to say. And then you start dividing your points here into depending what you want to divide on. So if I can divide now my points here as, I can use what? Here I can simply use, okay, I think I saw that grid, it used 45. So let me try to work with them. 45, they used 45, and see whether it will work also here. 90, and then 45, 180, 45, 270, 45, and 360. So I need to know what is 45, 90 there. What is it that I must put there? Let me just use my calculator. 90 plus 45. I was supposed to put 135. 180 plus 45. 135, 225. 270 plus 45, 225, 315. So 315, 225, and 135. That grid had this, so I just want to be also following the same grid. When I took out this paper, they used this grid, and then here you will know what to use there. Let's start with the first one. 2 sin alpha. Look at this. You'd say table 3, that's what you do. Mod, that is 3, so you press mod and press 3. F of x, you put that 2 sin, then alpha, then you've got x. See that? Then you say equal to. Where do you start from? They say start from 0. And where do you end? End in 360. So what step are you moving? They said 45. Then equal to. Then you start plotting this. Now this is what you do. You punch them, you look at the numbers you have. 0, That's what you have. 90 is 2. You see that? So you continue. Look for the simplified. Avoid this 45 with 1,4. Avoid those ones that are funny. 180 is 0. 225, leave it. 270 is minus 2. See that? So those are the numbers that we're going to do. So let's plot these. What's the first one? 0 is 0, 90 is 2. So let me use this one here. 0 is 0, 90 is... Okay, now let me mark these like this. This is gonna be my 1. I can make this actually... I think the grade was like this. This is 1 and this is 2. This is 1,5. This is 0,5. This is 0,5, but it's negative. 1,5, it's negative. Sorry, this is 1,0, not 1,5. This is just 1. More like 1,0. If you want a 1, then this is negative 1,5. This is negative 2 or 2,0, whatever case. You can say 1,0 or 1. Now let's do the same. 45 was 2, so it was there. 45. So let's bring in more. Now let me check it. So actually it was 90 was 2. I must correct that. 90 is 2, 180 is 0, and 270 is minus 2. So 90 was 2. So 90, which was 2. 180 was 0. 270 was negative 2. So that, and I think here 360 is 0. 360 is 0. Now you can see the graph of sine. If you know the graph of sine, it's easy to plot that. There it is. See that? So we labeled it. This is the graph of what? F. We do the same thing. Find the graph of g of x. Do the same thing. Mod 3, and then what you have here? Cos alpha x, close the bracket, plus 1 equal to step. Where do you start from? 0. Your calculator will already keep these numbers. 360 is the end. Step 45. Then you do the same thing. 0 is 2, 90 is 1. Let's do that. 0 is 2, 90 is 1. Alright, and then 180 is 0, 270 is 1. 180 is 0, 270 is 1. See what's happening there? 360 is 2. That's the end. 360 is 2. So what do you have? You have a graph like this. You must understand these graphs though, of course. And then it's turning there. So it was about to turn like this. It was also about to turn like this. You understand? But you don't have to go beyond the scale that you're given. You have to end up there. So then you call this graph of G. Then that's it. What else do they need there? It says for which values of x will g of x be greater than 0? Graph of G. Go to the graph of G. Which graph of G? They're saying for which values of x will the graph of G of x greater than 0? How many marks? 2 marks. Look at this. Greater than 0 meaning positive. So anything, let me write it down. If they say g of x is greater than 0, meaning it is positive. Anything greater than 0 means it's positive. Greater than, did they put equal to? Yes, greater than or equal to 0. So look at it. So you come here and say, on this graph of G, every point above this line, every point above this line is greater than 0. See, it's up, greater than 0 means it's up. That's where g of x is greater than 0. Are you getting that? Now they're asking for which values of x. You can see that it's starting from there and then up to there. All these graphs are above. So you can now write your answer to say from what? 0 is less than or equal to x. X is less than or equal to what? 360. Or you can put in square brackets, you include 0 and 360. Putting it in square means 0 and 360 is included. Are you with me? That's the first one. Second one, write down the range of g. Now g, remember there is the domain is the x values which I just did there. The range is the y values. Look where g is starting from. G is starting from this point here. There it is, starting from here, and there it's ending. That's the highest point, 2. So now when they say range is the y value, they're going to say here you start also from 0 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 2. Or you can put this and say the graph starts from 0, as you can see at the turning point, and then where does it end? The maximum value is 2. That's what you do. It's asking you this is where the graph, it starts there. If I can, that is more like an amplitude. Look at this. That's how the graph starts. It starts there up to there, and then on the one that they were saying the domain, it was more like when they asked about greater than, they were asking to say look at the graph, it starts there to there. Alright guys, these are what? These are graphs. These are graphs. This is what they will ask you on graphs. Alright, so that was that. Let's try another one. Again, still on graphs. It says here f of x is 210x, 6 marks, and given these two, sketch the graph of f and g on the same set of x's and on the answer sheet. Okay, they didn't give that, okay, but they give you between what? They made an error here. It was supposed to be negative 180. There is a negative there, from minus 180 to 180. So let's sketch this graph. How does it look like? Just tan and cos. We just did for cos. We just did the one for cos x plus 1. Am I right? Yes, we did that one. Maybe I can just try to, let me see if I can bring back that graph. Let me see if I can bring back this graph, because I don't need to change much. Okay, let's say forget about this graph. Can I? Yes. Oh, there it goes. Let's delete a few things. Let's delete some of these things here. The graph of, oh, it's able to go. Okay. I'm removing things that are for what? Alright, so not bad. So don't worry with the other stuff that I was doing here, but I'm trying to remove it here. Okay, so we have the graph of cos x plus 1. You saw what we did, but now they told us it's a bit far because this graph must actually go this direction. Let me also take this one off. It's actually supposed to be 108, so it's supposed to go this other direction here. So let me draw it backwards, because it says minus 108. See that? So it's supposed to cut. So what I'm gonna do is erase this side. This was not supposed to be showing. Oh, sorry about that. So this is what I'm just having. I'm not supposed to have this, because it says I must start from what? 180. So what you do, you come here and you make an error like this. That's 108. See that? And then you bring your g of x closer home, and then you continue going backwards. Seeing that? But you can see now, if we can bring it backwards, what you're gonna have with the calculator is gonna be mod 3 f of x is cos alpha x. Where is alpha x? Cos alpha x, and then what? Plus 1 equal to, start from what? Negative 180 now. I can end in 0 because I have got the other side. I will end in 0. Then step, I was using 45. Let's see that. Look at these, look at these. It's got negative 80 is 0, negative 180 is 0, negative 90 is 1. So let's do this and mark these points. I didn't mark them. So I've got here 45, 90, 135 and 180. These are the negative. Right? So if I bring back those, is negative 180 is 0, negative 90 is 1, negative 180 is 0, negative 90 is 1. There it is. Okay, does make sense. And then go down, 0 is 2, then 0 is 2 back there. So do you see what I have? I still have the same. See now what this graph does. It's like that. So this was more like it was going to turn up, and this was going to turn up. You understand? This is the graph of cos. You leave it like that. So this is what? Our graph of G. Now, importantly so, this one is supposed to be there. I hope you understand how this came about. I was trying to answer the other question there. But look at this. The next graph is what? This one, 210x. 210x. Now, let's do the same thing with the graph of 10. So, mod 3 is 210x alpha x. See that? Equal to. Then start from negative 180 equal to, and in 180 equal to, step 45, because I'm using 45 here. Look at this. 180 is negative 180 is 0. So negative 135 is 2, negative 180 is 0, negative 135 is 2. Alright. Negative 90 is error. So this is what you do with that error. You do this. Negative 90 is error. You draw a line like this. We call these asymptotes. Then what you simply do? Yeah, you just divide it apart like this. You just do that. Alright. Then you continue with negative 45 is negative 2, 0 is 0. Negative 45 is what? Negative 2. Where is negative 2? 0 is 0. There it is. Okay. After negative 45, 0, 0. 45 is 2. 90 again, error. 45 is 2. We come to 90. We do the same thing here. See that? And then what you have? You get a thing. These are the asymptotes. Does it make sense what I'm doing? And then from there, what you do? You continue. 135 is negative 2, 180 is 0. So negative 2 and 0. This one is negative 2 and 0. So now you need to understand the graph of what? You need to understand that particular graph for 10. So what you have, if I can have a little bit of space here, you have a graph that is like this. Okay, I just want to draw it nicely. this graph of 10. I just wanted to draw it nicely, but here you've got a graph like this. You end there, and here you've got a graph negative. You've got a graph like this. Alright, and then here, so that is fine. Let's have it like this, but in reality it was going to become asymptotes there, but it's fine like this, but make sure that it doesn't touch there. Alright, and then make sure that your graph doesn't touch here. So usually the graph of 10, just want to show you, if the scale was right, it was supposed to be this. Let me use a white. The graph of 10 is like this. Okay, let me try that one there. I think it will still work here. It's more like that, you know, but yeah, it's more like that, just like the way these other graphs are shaped, you see. So that is that, and then you call this graph, so it must be also this one here, it must also be this one here, and we call the graph of what? F. So that's the graph of what? Of F. Am I right? Look at this graph of F, and then says here, write down the amplitude of G. The amplitude of G, guys, amplitude is this distance here. This distance is the amplitude. So what is it? It's 2. So the amplitude of G, you just go there and say here, it's what? It's 2. Alright, the amplitude of G is equal to 2. That's the answer there, equal to 2. And the period of F, now period of 10, here what you need to know is if there is a 1 there, period symbol becomes 180 degrees. That's the period, meaning it's between negative 90 and 90. So if you look at this, this is 180 degrees. That's a full cycle. Alright, then for which values of x is g of x greater than 0? See, we are asking the same question we did there. So it's greater than 0 for which values of x, but now greater starts from there. Now it's from negative 180 degrees to what? 180 degrees. Then you put those square. See, it's positive, it's above. I say those are the points that are above the graph. The whole graph is above. Or you can say negative 180 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 180 degrees. Alright, so that's what you do there. Okay, is it fine? I hope so. Now I want you to try this one. Try this one for me. It says on the same answer sheet, sketch the graph of what? F of x is equal to this and g of x equal to this on the same set of x's for this. The intercept and both x's and turning points should be clearly shown. Can you try that one for me and see what you can come up with? But it's a matter of using your calculator correctly. Alright, and then from there use the sketch graphs to answer the following questions. Write down the range of g. Remember, range stretches the y values where g starts and end. For which values of x will f of x decrease? So let's try that. Pause the question, try it yourself and see if ever you can match. Now let me quickly try to sketch that for you. So the first one is what? G of x is cos x. Let's do that. G of x is equal to 2 cos x. And what about f of x? It's sin x plus 2. So if I'm to then they say what, between 0 and 360. So for this graph, it's 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 360. I showed you that the calculator is the one that does the job here. You don't have to stress yourself. So you're starting, obviously, if you checked, you're starting like this, and from 0. So your graph is more like that. And I think so 45 can still do much work. If I can just undo here and make it longer, like this, this becomes your y and your x. Okay, and we are using here to say this is 45, this is 90, 135, what is that, 180, 225, 270, am I right? 225 plus 45, 270, then after 270 plus 45, what was that? 335, am I right? 325, and then what, 108, this one, 360 here, sorry, 360. So this is what you have, and then from there, yeah, you plot the graph, and then you can make this 1, this can be 2, this can be 1, minus 1, this can be 2, minus 2. So that at the end of the day, what you have is in here is 0.5, see, 1.5, and then even here negative 1.5, something like that. But it's up to you whether you can do even here 0.5, even here 0.5, but it's negative. Alright, so you plot this graph and the calculator will give you the graph. And let's come for the graph of the first one is what, 2 cos x. Let's do that. And then we've got mod 3 2 cos alpha x, right? And then close the bracket, equal to start from what, 0 equal to, and what, 360, see, equal to, then step, I'm using 45, equal to, then 0 is 2, 90 is 0, you just do that, 0 is 2, 90 is 0, 180 is minus 2, 270 is 0, 180 is minus 2, 270 is 0, 360 is 2, 360 is 2, there it is. And then you come up with a graph like this. Are you saying that this is what, g? What about f of x? You do the same thing, and in this case you're saying mod 3 sin alpha x plus 2, say that, equal to step, start 0 and 360, we are jumping in 45, in 0, 0, 2, 93, so 0 is 2. Alright, so this one goes there, there is 3, I think it was stretching, 90 was 3, okay, I didn't say that one there, 0 is 2, 90 is 3, 180 is 2, 270 is 1, 180 is 2, 270 is 1, alright, 360 is 2, So there it is. It turns. It's more like this was about 10, also like that. And then the question was what? Let's answer the question. It says the intercepts on both axes and the turning points should be clearly indicated. So we need to indicate the turning points. So now here I must indicate there is a turning point there, which is 90. The coordinate is 90 and 3. You need to indicate that. There is another turning point here. It's 270 and 1. You need to indicate that point. There is another turning point, 360 and 2. Not really. No. This was not going to be a turning point. This was not going to be. Yeah, it's a turning point of the other graph. It's fine. But on this other graph, it was still going to go up. Okay. And then turning point also this one there, which is 202 of the g of x. There is also a turning point of g of x here, which is 180 minus 2. Then what's the next question there? It says write down the range of g. Remember, range is from the max to the minimum, and this is the range. From the last point, go up to the turning point. That one. So it starts from what? From negative 2 is less than or equal to g of x, or you can call it y, which is less than or equal to the last number, which is 2. You start from negative, so sine minus 2 is to 2. You put square brackets. But g of x, usually we put y here, because those are y axes. You don't put g of x, you say y minus 2 to 2. And then for which values or value of x will f of x decrease? Now let me show you for f of x. This is the graph of f. Remember this one? We called it f. And where is it decreasing? Now I want you to pay attention so that you can see how you answer that one. See, when it's going up, this make white increasing. So this graph is increasing, stop there. It changes. From there, it starts going down. It's going down, this is decreasing, so it starts there from what? 90. It's going down until there. It stops. And then until what? 270. And then again, take to the right, it starts increasing. So now they said for which values of x is from 90 to 270. Then you put square brackets. Or you can use x to say 90 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 270. That's what you do when you're answering these questions. Okay, so guys, this is what they want you to answer. Alright, and then lastly, to wrap up this session, let's look at this question here. Sketch below the graph of this f of x is a sin x and g of x is that. And then the question is write down the values of a and b. So what you sometimes do, you come here for such a question, you choose any point, like there's a point there. See, this is on the graph of f. So on the graph of f, you can say f of x is equal to a sin x. Right, but now what do I know? Here, this is x, this is y. So you can say minus 5 is equal to a sin 90. So you divide then by sin. You ask yourself actually what is sin 90? And sin 90, if you remind yourself, is 1. So let's not divide yet. Here, let's just erase. So you come back and say here what is sin 90? So look at this, sin 90 equals to say 1. So minus 5 is equal to a times 1. So what is a? A is minus 5. See that? So you can write it and say a is equal to negative 5. And then do the same thing with b. Choose any value that is appearing that you can literally see. Let's choose this value. X is 0, y is 3, right? So for cos, so we are going to say where there is y is 3 is equal to cos 0 plus b, right? So now 3 is equal to, you put cos 0 and see what it gives you for cos 0. Cos 0 is equal to 1, so it's equal to 1 plus b. Then take 1 to the other side, so 3 minus 1 is equal to b. Now what is b? It's 2. See that? So b is equal to 2. You just use those. Right. Write down the period of f. Now f, the period here, you look at this. Let me write f of x is equal to sin x. Since there is 1 here, the period is simple, 360. If there was 2, we are going to say 360 divided by 2. If there was 3, we are going to say 360 divided by 3. So the period there is simple, 360 divided by 1. That's how you find period. It's just 360. Alright, next one. Determine the range of g. Range, these are the y values. You ask yourself, if I look at g, it starts from there and maximum value is there. So they want this distance. So where can you say it starts from? It starts from what? Minus 1. You say less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to what? 3. Or you put it, say minus 1 up to 3. You see, I keep on repeating the same. That's the range. Range means y values. So when they say range, you think of y axis or y values. If they say domain, you think of x. If they say period, you just did. And then for which values of x is g of x less now? If they say g of x is less than 0, what they're saying, anything less than 0 is what? Is negative. So they're saying go negative. Go and find the part of g that is negative. And which one is g? This is the graph of g. Look where it is negative. Okay, you are still talking with g. I thought I answered wrong the other one. So look at this. We are going to look for the graph of g where g is negative. Look, I'm gonna make it blue to show you g here where it's positive. Let's look at where g is positive. See, it's positive here. It's positive, meaning it's above. Yeah, you see that? G of x is above. See, g of x is less, but here g of x is positive, and here g of x is positive. But where is g of x negative? Underneath from here. So you need to tell us what is that and what is this. This is 90. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So each scale is 10. So 90, 120. So this is 120. And this is 80, 1, 2, 200, 10, 20, 30, 40. This is 240. There is the answer. We say 120 up to 240. Because they say less than or equal to. Okay, less than. So you put also, since they say less than, you do this. Don't square them. Or you can use this. 120 is less than x is less than 240. You don't include x, 120 and 240. That's it, guys, and I hope this still makes sense to you. And we've come to the end of our session here on graphs, and as I said, continue watching this channel as we bring more of these questions, and also check out other revision sessions on as I said here. Look at this. We are looking at the topic of trig, but there's all these topics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to prepare you for your final exams. That's why I'm saying if you're subscribed, it'll be easier for you to follow. We've come to the end of our lesson. Thank you.